Hello, everybody, and welcome to, well, not the weekly Oracle Wisdom, but the monthly Oracle Wisdom. As I'm filming this, it is July 31st, but in some parts of the world, it is already August 1st. So I thought I would get in and do this early so that those of you who are in those parts of the world where we're already in August, you can know what's going on and what the energies are for the month ahead. Just before I get into it, Anne and I just finished filming an incredible episode of Gemini Rising. We had Fixed Air Moon or Brian Scarborough join us. So it was like a high vibe reunion, which was amazing. So make sure you check that out. I will have the link in the description below. But let's get right to it and see what the month of August energies are going to be bringing us. So one of the cards has already jumped out, and I am using the Alberto Villoldo, and Colette Baron-Reid, the Shaman's Oracle. So empty well, time to replenish. Life has been keeping everybody very, very busy, and I'm a big one for self-care and making sure that you're nurturing yourself. And I know there are people that sit there and go, no, you've just got to keep going. You've got to push through. And yes, to a point. But if you have nothing left to give, then what are you going to be able to do for anybody around you? So if the well is empty, if it's running dry, it's time to listen to what your body is telling you and actually take time out, do the things that will help you get your energy back, whether that be sleeping or meditating or going out into the wilderness. I don't know, whatever it is for you, make the time to actually do that. Skybridge, possibility for union. So normally when we think about union, people automatically go to a romantic place. And yes, that's absolutely a possibility, but it can be a union in terms of work. It can be a union in terms of family and friends. So it's a time of coming together. You can, I, I just, I love this image. I love that in this space that seems so inhospitable and like you couldn't possibly get across if you tried. There's a very clear pathway. So just be open to any sort of union coming in, whether that be romantic or friendship or whatever part it is meant to play. Be open to that. And if you're someone, because every time I talk about love, a lot of people find it very triggering. And if that's you, just, you know what, it doesn't need to be about love, but just keep your heart open. You don't want to be closed off to something that could be really magical for you. Mindful and groupthink. So every time I hear the term groupthink, I don't think of it in a positive aspect, because often groupthink can be when everybody sort of comes together and they're dogged in one particular train of thought. But in this particular instance, if you look at the pictures on this card, I feel like it's a good thing. It's about community and coming together. And if you look at it with possibility for union, I feel like this can be a really good and positive thing. Coming together, I mean, so this card reminds me of springtime, but it could also be summer because the flowers are already in bloom. There's beautiful lights. The tree is full of foliage. So it makes sense that in the height of August, it's about coming together and being with your community. And whether that's community in the sense of family or friends, so the family that you choose, or whether it's community as a whole, that's going to be dependent on where your life is and what's going on for you. But I feel like this is a really positive thing. So even though it's time to rest and replenish and take care of you, don't shut everybody out. And the other thing is maybe relying on community will be the thing that helps you take the time to replenish, you know, you leaning on the people that are around you. Unmarked trail revelation. So maybe something's going to appear that you haven't even thought about, a direction to move in that was never a thought, or maybe it was a thought, but you thought it was something that was completely impossible and some crazy dream. You know, there are many things in my life that I have manifested that at one point when I thought about it and I've thought, oh my gosh, I would so love to go and do this thing, whatever it may be. And I look at it and go, I don't even know how I would make that happen. I have no idea. And then I let the thought go. And I mean, that's for me, I always talk about the key to manifestation is putting what you want out to the world and then letting it go, not having an emotional attachment to it. And it's those things that will randomly appear. You know, an opportunity comes up and you sit there and go, is this even possible? I didn't think this was a thing at all. So it looks like August is a month where something's going to reveal itself or appear to you in a way that you didn't expect. But to me, it feels incredibly exciting. When those things have appeared for me, there's moments of trepidation because it's like, holy cow, how do I navigate this? I didn't even know this was a thing. But you know what? You have to trust at that point and go, the universe has given me the opportunity. It's time to walk down that path. And you know what? Worst case scenario, it doesn't work, but at least you tried it. You've got no questions, and then you come back to where you were and take a different path. But you'll never know unless you actually give it a go. I think I've got okay. I was just going to say, I think I'm going to pull two more, and two have literally jumped out. Overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. So this new path that appears may feel really scary. I mean, to me, this is exactly what I'm talking about. But you have to just breathe and find a way to navigate it. Do not let this overwhelm. Don't let it overwhelm you. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say, but just know that there is plenty there for you. I'm just having a look at this image. When you're overwhelmed, it can feel like you're drowning. But if you look at that building that's coming up out of the water, it is absolutely stunning. And I know there's the guy with, does he have? So it's like a night. I don't know if the moon is coming off the building. I feel like it's one of the wind. I don't even know what they're called, but you know, the things on the roof that show you which way the wind is going. But if you were to step inside this building, it would be absolutely gorgeous. So don't be overwhelmed by what's coming. Oh, here we go. I hadn't even looked at the other card that fell out. Feast of plenty, choices and their consequences. So again, you hear the word consequence, and I think it's always negative, but the consequences can be good or bad of any decision that you make. And I feel like you make your choice and you deal with whatever comes your way. So, like I said, if something doesn't work, the consequence is you've got to go back to where you started. But if it does work, then you end up feasting on something that's just absolutely incredible. It's one of those days. this card does have the swords going through, does have it going through the crystal ball, but at the same time, it's got the bumblebee there, it's got the grapes and all of that. So I think with this, you really have to, it's a time to trust your gut. For me personally, I choose to live a life where I take risks. I put it out to the universe and go, you know what? This is what I'm going to try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I don't want to be left with questions at the end of this life. So I want to go and explore everything. If this pathway comes up for you and you're going, it doesn't feel right, you have to trust that. Just make sure you can make the definition of it doesn't feel right. My gut is telling me absolutely not. This is not the path for me. Totally fine, totally valid. But there is a difference between that and saying no because of fear. You do not want fear guiding you in this life because you will miss out on so much. Okay, so now I have the Work Your Light Oracle cards. This is Rebecca Campbell. And if you watched my weekly Oracle reading, which went up on Monday, I used a different Rebecca Campbell deck. I always love the artwork and the messages that these cards give us. All right. Mirror. Who or what is triggering you? So this is the question. And if a path is opening up for you and it is overwhelming and it's making you feel some kind of way, like I said, you've got to go into, is it a no because it's not right? Or is it fear that is making me say absolutely no because I'm scared of everything it could open up. I'm scared of it not going right. The other thing is, what is triggering that response? So is it you and your fear? Is it somebody in your life telling you that you can't do this or that you shouldn't do this? Why are they doing it? Is it because they couldn't do it? Is it because they're not brave enough? Is it because they were too scared in their life? I mean, I don't know. I'm just running through some options of possibilities, but it's time to stop and really dig deep and think about what it is that is triggering you. And it may be an outsider, but if it's you, you need to figure out why. Take a look in that mirror. And so two things. If it is you that is triggering yourself, your own fears, your own beliefs, your own judgments, because maybe it's something that you thought you would never do, or you didn't understand why other people wanted to do something like that. And then when it's being offered to you, you want to do it, but then you're like, well, I can't because of this. You have to look at why. And if these other people are triggering you, the question becomes, why are you letting them? Because they're going to do whatever they're going to do, but you control whether that has any effect on you. Okay. We're all getting stuck tonight. Oh, I'm really, really not doing a good job. Trust your path. If you knew, I used to be able to read backwards. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? So this brings me back to everything that I just talked about. What's triggering you? Is it fear? Is it your fear? Is it somebody else's fear? Is it judgment? Is it somebody else's judgment? Is it somebody else's fear? You have to figure this out. And the reality is, if you had all the money in the world and all the freedom and you could manifest anything for yourself, what would it be? Would it be this thing that may appear this month? would it be something different, but this pathway kind of leads to that? Or is it something completely different that has nothing to do with any opportunities that may arise this month? But you have to trust the path that you're on. And I talk so frequently about trusting your gut. And if you feel so passionately about something that you can't think of anything else, go chase it. And I'm not saying make irresponsible decisions and go out into the world and make bad financial decisions that harm yourself or anybody else in your life. You know, if the thing that you love needs to be a side hustle for a while, make it a side hustle. Just do it and work doggedly towards your goal. But when you're doing something that you love and you're being authentic to who you are and what feeds your soul, the spoils that come with that path will present themselves eventually. So you need to work hard to get to that point. You know, we see all these overnight success stories and go, how did they do this overnight? What you don't see in those overnight success stories is so often they're not overnight. It's 10, 20 years of hard work. And nobody sees that because maybe they worked away quietly in the shadows for that amount of time. And then one day, something finally switched for them and it all came together, and it's amazing. You know, there are so many actors that have done interviews and said, you know what? I kept fighting. I really wanted this. And I had no money left in my bank account. And I went for this audition that I didn't even want to go on. And I was leaving LA. I was leaving Hollywood because I just couldn't do it. And then, of course, just as they're done and they've released it all to the universe goes, I shall give you everything that you've worked so hard for. So just know that you have to do a certain amount of work and you have to be honest with yourself. And if you really love something, even if it's a side hustle for a while, you'll chase it and you'll do it because it feeds your soul. Protection, call back your power, cut cords, soul retrieval. So here's the thing, when people are holding you back, you are energetically attached to those people. Every time I do a meditation, I start it once I'm grounded by doing cord cutting and releasing everything that other people attach to me, their expectations, their version of me that they think that I am, whether they're right or wrong. And as I'm doing the cord cutting, I thank them for their energy and for their care, but I release it because it's not mine. So with all of this and all of the judgment and fear and everything that I've just talked about, it is time to take your power back. You can take other people's opinions and advice on board and go, thank you so much for your feedback. And you can listen to it. It doesn't mean you have to do what they're telling you. And there are plenty of people in this world that have very strong personalities and will absolutely thrust their opinion on you as if you have to believe exactly the same thing and go along with what it is that they're saying. And the reality is, no, you don't. And you can listen to it and say, thank you so much. I have plenty of friends like that who I adore. I love them, but I don't need to live my life the way they want me to. I also don't need to be or strive to be a version of me that somebody thinks that I am. That is what they think or who they think I am. I don't need to do any of that. I just need to be me. And I have to protect myself from those expectations, from that energy, and those energetic connections. You can allow love in while still protecting your energy and your space. So it's time to do it. If you don't know how to do it yourself, find a guided meditation or something to do that. Another really good way of clearing other people's energy towards you is being in the shower and picture as the water is flowing over you and going down the drain, that the energy of everybody else and everything that you've picked up throughout the day is washing down the drain with that water. Water is such a cleansing thing. It's why swimming in the ocean changes who you are. Swimming in a lake or a river can have the same effect because it's that grounding, cleansing energy. There's a reason why surfers are so freaking chill. They just sit in that water and the ions from that moving water just changes and cleanses who they are. So find a way to sort of cleanse yourself and protect yourself. And also in doing that, you'll have better clarity within yourself in order to make the right decisions for you. It's your life after all. Okay, I think. Okay. Align your life. What is not aligned or needed? What is not aligned or needs to change? So there you go. In cutting cords, it's a way of shedding the things that don't serve you. And it's a way of freeing up space energetically for new things to come in. The episode of Gemini Rising that Anne and I just did with Brian, we talked a lot about releasing things. We were talking about 12th house energy. We were talking about struggles we've all faced over the years and that moment when you shed certain things in your life, whether it be jobs, relationships, material things, whatever it may be. Sometimes it can be a little traumatic to go through, but it frees up so much else in your life. And sometimes the universe kind of says, listen, you're not moving fast enough, or you're not moving according to the timeline that we need you on. So we're just going to remove it for you. And that can be a little traumatizing. I've had some of those years, and we did talk about some of that on this last episode of Gemini Rising. But the reality is, once all of that stuff was shifted, so many new and incredible things came into my life that brought my life into a much better alignment with where I was and am meant to be. So you have to free all of that. Okay, so the last one I'm pulling from this deck is Pillar of Light. Your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. So this month, it's about doing that sort of spiritual work, protecting yourself, taking the opportunities that the universe is providing. And in doing that, you're raising your vibration. You're becoming a leader and a way shower to those that aren't in that same space yet, that aren't ready to walk that path and be that light. So really embrace this journey, even if it feels difficult and overwhelming. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for you, and you just kind of have to write it out. And like I said, you'll figure out really quickly what is for you and what's not. And if you take that time to stop and look in the mirror and find out what it is that's triggering you, when you have those answers, you can shift whatever it is. And like I said, if it's somebody else's behavior or perception or demands on you, you can't change them. You can't say what they're saying or what their expectations are, but you can cut those energetic cords. You can protect yourself, and you can take it on board, and you can change your reaction to what is being foisted upon you. Okay, so this last deck that I'm using, it's a new MahrukhX deck, and this is your future self or your future life. I'll have the correct name in the description. But I love these cards, so I feel like this is a perfect way to look at the month ahead. Balance all dimensions of your life. So this comes back to the very first card about the empty well. It's time to take care of yourself, because if you're empty, if you've got nothing to give, you're not going to be able to do anything for yourself, let alone anyone else in your life. So you need to find that balance. Same thing if you've got other people influencing you. Find that balance of being able to take their advice and their opinions on board and making your own decisions and doing what's right for you and your immediate family. And the other dimension of life that you need to balance is, are you triggering yourself? And if you are triggering yourself, you need to find balance there so that you are able to get in a better space and move forward in a way that is healthy and productive. Okay. You're on a journey of discovering your life purpose. So I feel like August is the beginning of something really, really big. So embrace it. I mean, you're on that journey. You are the pillar of light. Trust your path. You know, it is the unmarked trail. You've got these other things that are open. And no wonder there are going to be these moments of overwhelm. You know, when you've got so much happening and there is so much spiritual growth, it can be so much and it can be so overwhelming. But this is exciting, or I feel like it's exciting. I always love when I'm leveling up. Because when you look back, you go, wow, look at how far I came and I didn't know I had that in me. The other thing is, it means you're able to help others that are coming behind you. And that's an incredible feeling of accomplishment when you know that you've helped or inspired or guided somebody else. So it's a powerful thing. All right, I think I'm going to pull two more. You won't always feel alone. You're attracting your soul tribe. So here's the thing. Sometimes when you're cutting those energetic cords, and that doesn't mean necessarily physically cutting people out of your life, but when you're cutting those energetic cords, some of those people are going to fall away. And it may suck. And when you're on a spiritual journey, it can make you feel like you're very alone. The thing is, though, it doesn't last for long, because when you're vibrating at a higher frequency, these people that are not able to meet you there or aren't able to match that frequency, they're going to fall away because they need to be around people that are all functioning at their own frequency. But that allows space for these new people to come in. And it's such a special feeling when you have, you know, people that you can have those spiritual conversations with, or conversations about growth and journeying forward. And, you know, when you've done that deep work on yourself, when you speak about it with people who understand because they've been on a similar journey, or they have already been there and done that work, and they're able to guide you, it helps the journey forward a lot. So just know that if you are feeling alone or isolated right now, it's not a forever thing. And one of my favorite sayings in the whole world is, this too shall pass. And it's one of the truest sayings that I have ever heard. And whenever I'm dealing with something that feels difficult or unbearable and like it'll never end and I'm stuck forever, I remind myself that this too shall pass. And it always does. Things always shift. And can I tell you, when I'm doing a really hard workout, when I'm when I'm in a yoga posture that really sucks, or I'm doing something that I just physically, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so done. This too shall pass. And that way I don't quit. I just get through the other side. Okay. So travel as much as you can. This will add dimension to your life. I'm a big one for travel. I think I spoke about this with Lee Dundas in an interview. It's on my main page on YouTube, and the title of that is "Who is the Real Lee Dundas?" And it was because we were talking about her book, Just Stand Up, which is a phenomenal read. I read the entire book, I think, in 3 days. But she talks about the importance of traveling outside of your own country and seeing the way other cultures live and experiencing different forms of government and seeing how that affects their people. all of this gives you worldly knowledge. And look, if you can't travel far and if you can't go overseas, get out of your own town, get out of your own bubble, have experiences, have adventures that lead you to different people in different places. In Australia, I never really did road trips because so much of Australia is quite barren. And so even driving from Melbourne to Sydney, which is about an 8-9 hour drive, you basically get on a highway for the entire drive and it's just straight and boring. Whereas over here in the US, you go on a road trip, you end up in random little towns and you have these great little adventures. And some of the stories that I share with friends and family from some of these things that I have done, they just crack me up. I've met these random people in towns that are literally one street, and it gives you a better understanding for where you come from, what it is you've got going on, and how other people live. And it's truly a very special and powerful thing. So make sure you go out, go on these adventures, however the universe allows you to do that. It will only grow you as a person. This one came out while I was shuffling. Rejection is your protection. Another one of my favorite sayings. I know through life, I have had opportunities that have presented themselves or seem to present themselves, and then everything kind of shuts down and it never comes through. And there are times where I've been absolutely heartbroken. And a couple of times the universe has represented that opportunity at a later date. And as it turns out, the opportunity wasn't anything like what I thought it was going to be. And I sit there and think, okay, so this is why it never came through before. But clearly, because I wouldn't let it go, the universe said, okay, I'm going to show you what it is and what it is that you're crying over. And then when it presents it to me and I realize what it is, I'm like, didn't really want it. Sometimes relationships don't work out and you don't know why. And then, I don't know, you meet one of their exes later on in life, or you hear stories, or you learn something about them and you realize why that relationship was never meant for you. Just trust that the universe has the best of intentions for you and wants nothing but the best for you. And even if you don't get those answers, even if you don't get that insight, trust that rejection is protection. So just to finish up, so I was going to show you the bottom card, but as I did that, the top card slipped out from underneath. So don't let people suck the air out of your spirit. That's just confirmation of everything I was saying earlier in the reading, so I don't feel I need to go over that again. And this was the other card that jumped out. Don't stop living your life because of someone else. So there is a very clear message that if you are being told no, or you can't, or it'll never work, trust your gut. Your gut, if you're sitting in honesty with yourself and truth, you'll know what to do. And you have to trust that. And I just want to say there's a very clear message in these future self or future life cards that have come up. This is a deck of 100 cards. And I have been through this deck a million times. All the messages are not about all of that, and not allowing somebody else to dictate what your life is going to be to you. So I hope this resonates with some of you. Like I always say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Not every reading is for every person, but I wish you all the most wonderful month of August that you can possibly have. I will be back next Monday with the weekly reading. Make sure you check out Gemini Rising, which Anne and I just did with Brian. It's such a fantastic and fun episode and very nostalgic, as the High Vibe Studio in its current incarnation is kind of winding down. It was really nice to go down memory lane and talk about life in that studio, and it will be just as magic in its next location. But, times are changing and we have to roll with it. So have a wonderful month, everyone. See you all on Monday for the weekly Oracle Wisdom reading. I'll see you soon.